All right, let's not agree. Let's not agree.
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman, the new trailer. I'm going to admit, I feel like I had to pick my jaw back up because it was on the floor after I watched it. I was so like, I need to see this movie right now, not next year.
I'll say it made me more interested than the little clip that we got before it, but not by much. Not by much at all.
What about you, Jeff?
Jimmy, I don't want to hurt your feelings, man. I'm afraid.
You guys didn't even like Superman, so I mean.
I was gonna say, I know how much you love Man of Steel, and I know we didn't love it, and man, I think this movie looks like hot garbage.
Tell me why.
My biggest complaint, and it was to me in one line, maybe the biggest assassination of a character that I've ever heard, was Ma Kent telling Superman that he don't owe this world nothing, and when she says, "Don't, if you don't want to save it, don't. You don't owe this world nothing."
Why is that a horrible thing?
Because, man, at the real, I read this excellent article, and I was actually going to share it the other day, and I read this excellent article, and it really articulated, I think, my feelings on Superman, not just in the movies, but in the comics, pretty much ever since the New 52. And they were talking about the fact that at the end of the day, Superman was raised by Ma and Pa Kent. The reason that he is who he is because he was this man with extraordinary powers that was raised by these people that taught him to always do the right thing. They taught him. They gave him this morality. And in the Man of Steel, I saw Pa Kent tell him to do whatever it took to protect his identity, even if it meant letting a busload of children die. And then in this movie, I see Ma Kent saying, "This world don't owe you anything." And this is just, I think it's a horrible portrayal of the Kents, and I just think that they are such an important part of who Superman is. I think they are the important part. Yeah, Superman's father was Jor-El, I'm sorry. But that wasn't the man that was his dad. And he was raised by these people, and they really are who molded him into Superman. And I don't think, there was nothing I saw about this that made me want to see it. But that line in particular, it actually made me cringe.
Well, here's what I'll counter into that.
I will say before you go into, I was going to say I will say this. Context, and I understand things can be taken out of context. So I don't know what she said before or after that line, but I think it's pretty damning of whoever cut this trailer that's the line they picked if it is taken out of context.
Here's the opposite of why I disagree with what you just said, because I think that in Man of Steel he was trying to put, and they have always been trying to put, the good, right and wrong aspect into Superman. I think you saw that, but at the same time, it's their child.
Right.
And it's an interesting dynamic of, he understands, okay, if he saves that busload of kids and he's found out, if he does it to where he's found out, that's it. Once they know what's happening with him, he's gone. The government is coming in, taking him, and putting him in, God, what was that? Remember the Superman thing where they, I can't remember what it was, but basically they had taken him, they had found him first and was keeping him in an underground layer.
Oh, you're talking about in Flashpoint.
Might have been.
Wasn't
I can't
that
remember.
Flashpoint? Where he was kind of like depowered and what have you?
Yeah,
and,
I mean, basically that's what they would do to him, and they know that, so they're trying to keep him safe. Just like I think that what she's saying is the same thing. She knows whatever is about to happen there, she knows something big is about to happen that, I mean, she don't know what's out there that can hurt her child. And she's basically, to me, saying, you don't owe anybody anything. Fly away. I don't want anything to happen to you. You're my child.
I get that, but to me, it still feels out of character.
You can't write straight apple pie and it be interesting.
I think you can, man.
You
with
can't.
Superman, I think you can. You can't with 99 other characters, but I think with Superman you can and you have to.
I think that's my problem with this whole universe is that they've tried to turn Superman into a dark character more like Batman, which has been successful for them. And, I mean, maybe it'll be successful, but it's just not for me. Superman was my favorite always growing up, and it was just, I don't know if it was maybe because there's pretty much no real darkness to that story of that. I mean, yeah, some aspects, but not along the lines we're saying. And I think putting these Superman's movies in, putting them in the grayscale and all that, he just killed for me personally before it even starts.
I think you could take every other DC character and make them darker, but you don't need to do it with Superman. And I don't know. And I want this movie to prove me wrong, man. I do. But it just seemed to me like it was just headed down the same path as Man of Steel, and I just didn't vibe on it at all.
I'm not saying make Superman dark. When I say apple pie, you're leaving out the other emotions of Ma. Just for that instance, you're leaving out Ma and Pa's other emotions of protecting their child and wanting their child to be what's safe. Because when it comes down to it, I mean, right now, Jeff, you can send Luke and he can go do something and save 30 people, but there's a chance, because you don't know his power, you don't know what's going on, there's a good chance that he could die. Now you go tell him to go do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could. But
I use movies to escape from real life, not run to potential problems.
I'm not Pa Kent. I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
you
that's
get
what
what
I'm
saying?
saying. Pa Kent. Think about this. In Man of Steel, they portrayed him as a man who loves and wants to keep his child safe so much that instead of letting him save him, he told him to stay away to keep himself safe, knowing he's going to die. There's a whole dynamic there that just because it doesn't fit into A and B is amazing. It's amazing.
Can we talk
now,
about the real problem with this trailer?
No. I've got another thing to complain about. And this show's just going to have to go long, is all I know.
Oh, that's fine with me, dude. I'm enjoying the discussion.
All right. I understand, and here's the one. I understand that it being such a dark world and it being a Superman movie, I understand why you guys don't like that. So I will go there. I mean, but at the same time, it can't, Superman Returns was not in the dark world, and that was a horrible movie.
I'll take it over Man of Steel 3 times and 7 or 8 on Sunday.
Honestly, that's what Matt said today to me. He said he would rather watch Superman Returns than Man of Steel.
That's sad to me. Like I went to the movies, watched Superman Returns. I watched it once since it came out. After that, somebody bought me a DVD, and it's still sitting on my shelf, and it's never been opened.
Well, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's better than the piece of shit that Man of Steel is.
Man of Steel is
I do, man. I think it's probably the worst superhero movie of all time. That includes 1990 Punisher, Captain America, and all that rubbish.
I think Matt just wants to get under my craw here because there's no way.
I don't, man. That's really your cup of tea. I just hate this movie.
Okay, forget this show going along. This show needs being because my heart is just destroyed right now.
But no, wait. We still haven't talked about the real travesty of the trailer.
Well,
it's like Luthor's hair, man.
I do not like Lex Luthor. I do not like that. I don't like that at all. Now, I agree totally. That's the one thing I don't like about it.
You want to hear a positive from me about it?
Well, it'd be nice if you can find one, apparently.
No. There's one. There was a positive. And it was a shocking one because I'm going to be honest, I've been very critical of something ever since it was announced. What little bit I saw, Gal Gadot had me kind of convinced as Wonder Woman in those few little scenes I saw. That gave me hope for her and for Wonder Woman. I thought she actually kind of looked like Wonder Woman.
What did you think of Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne now that you saw a little more?
The jury's out. I will say I'm excited about the fact that now, and correct me if I'm wrong on this too. One of you two may have heard this, but it seems like I read somewhere that it was announced that Ben Affleck will direct and star in the next Batman solo movie. Is that true?
That is absolutely correct.
That intrigues me. That interests me.
I thought the scenes of him as Bruce Wayne, he made a very good Bruce Wayne. I don't know that I was sold on the Batman that we saw a bit of, but I like him as Bruce Wayne. And I know I'm going on, but I will watch this movie, and I hope that I'm wrong because I want it to be good for the record, but I have my doubts.
Here's something let me say about Batman. Other than the voice, what can you really do with a Batman character? You can't see anything but his lips.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Well, you can make his eyes.
The Bruce
light
Wayne
up.
aspect of...
I don't know about the eyes on that one.
The eyes lighting up's kind of weird.
Well, it fits that. There's the comic series. They use that in the comic series.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, too, I mean, the one thing it kind of makes me think of a little bit is, I mean, if you think back especially in the 90s and, like, even the 80s, and Batman, when he was Drew, like, his mask always had, like, the white, like, the eye holes were white.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't, so, I mean, I guess it could be kind of like that.
Well, let me tell something else out about Ben Affleck, and I know Matt, or one of you guys is a big Kingdom Come fan.
Oh, I think we both are.
You might hate this, but for some reason, when I saw him as Bruce Wayne, really what I was thinking, he would have made an amazing Superman in a Kingdom Come story.
He absolutely would have. Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more.
Like Alex Ross's Superman.
Yeah, he really does, man. You're right.
I was so blown away, man. I was like, maybe he missed the character. If they would ever done that storyline, it would have been amazing. Imagine if they did the Kingdom Come storyline. Oh.
Answer me this. If DC can pull this off, and if they can make this universe happen, and we can get to a Justice League movie, are they going to give me Darkseid? Because Darkseid is probably, to me, my favorite DC. Well, he's definitely my favorite DC villain, but next to the Flash, he might be my favorite DC character, period. I love Darkseid. Are we going to get Darkseid in a Justice League movie?
I would have to imagine that you would, because that's what people would expect.
Yeah.
My real hopes for all this, and speaking on the Justice League movie, is that it all ends up to a nice point and we end up somewhere good with DC. I mean, don't get me wrong, I hope this one is good. Like, obviously, I doubt her, but I hope it is good. I think for me, the main problem with what DC is going for is I can't get past my hate of the Superman character in this universe. Like, even what we saw of this new Batman. I'm not completely hating on it. I'm not sold on it, but I'm not completely hating on it like I am Superman stuff. But I hope it gets to a point where that don't matter as much as the story progresses.
And I get that, man. I know how much you love that character. And in my opinion, I said this earlier about something else, but honestly, I feel like I don't know that there's been a good portrayal of Superman, in my opinion.
No.
I don't think there's been a good portrayal of him in comics, in movies. I mean, I wasn't even a huge Smallville fan. I liked some episodes. I mean, Smallville got closer to getting it right than a lot of stuff. But I don't think there's been a good portrayal of Superman since Jeff Johns wrote the character in Action Comics pre-New 52. And then do you remember that Secret Origin series Jeff Johns did, Jimmy?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. And what about, like, You know, here's my counterpoint to what we were saying earlier. When we talked about, like, the apple pie thing, what if you could take Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman and portray him that way on film? Because I think that's a very hopeful, very true, I think maybe the truest to the character of any story ever written. Cut straight to the heart of that character. Could you do something along those lines?
I again don't hate this character, so I don't think.
Right, I get that. And it's kind of silly for me to ask that because you don't hate it, and I don't think, Matt, have you read All-Star Superman?
No, I haven't. I've read some little things from that bit of run. I'm aware enough of it to. Obviously, to me, it's going to be better, but again, that's biased. You're asking too biased in either direction.
Right. Well, let's throw this out to the Nerdy 30s universe listeners. Do you think that an All-Star Superman-esque portrayal would be better than the portrayal we're currently getting? Because we have...
I know the All-Star Superman animated film that they put out a few years back, I absolutely loved.
I've not saw the animated version.
I haven't either.
I really liked it. I liked it.
Well, all I know is me and Matt are gonna have different opinions on this movie till it comes out, I guess, or until he embraces this Superman.
You know what I really hope happens, honestly? I hope it comes out, and you guys watch it, and Jimmy ends up hating it, and Matt ends up loving it. That's what I really want. And then we could put this episode back to back with a review episode. That's my one true goal, actually.
I don't feel like there's any way I can hate it because I love.
Well, you didn't hear about Dolph Lundgren being in it.
That could do it if he's in it as the Punisher somehow moved over to that universe. But I know it seems like you guys just the dark portrayal in that world bothers you guys a lot.
It does. It really does. And I'll tell you, did you see, it went around on the internet, I want to say probably back in the spring, where that one guy took the whole movie and recolored it and just lightened up the colors. And even that, what a difference that made.
Yeah, I see it. That looks so much better.
I think it's just DC trying to establish their
tone. I get
universe.
it.
I mean,
and their tone is gray and depressing.
And I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It needs to be different from Marvel. I mean,
all right.
You don't want to be the same.
Well, for
well, I can't say that because we might hate it, but I mean, the Superman movie made a ton of money.
It did. I mean, it almost made as much as
Marvel
Guardians.
money. It didn't make Marvel money.
It didn't make Guardians of the Galaxy money.
I'll be interested to see what they made on that with everything involved.
I'm pretty sure Guardians actually, it not by much, but I'm pretty sure it eked it out. I'm pretty sure Guardians topped it.
You put in everything they made off that movie with product placements and...
Well, I'm sure they made a ton on that because there was a lot of that.
Lord knows that was Tony's big, huge gripe.
Yeah, that was Tony's main problem.
I can't believe they flew into the Sears. He's like, I can't believe they flew into the Sears and crashed. Well, they don't have.
Well, I mean, you can't give them too much crap for that because I mean that same thing was happening in Avengers too. I mean that happens. I think that you're going to see that going forward in big movies. Period. They got to offset these budgets somehow.
No kids won't buy the toys afterwards. That's too sad.
Little Johnny wanted a Superman figure until he saw how sad he was. I don't know. You might be right on that.
No, I'm sure they sold toys on too.
I know they won't be buying X-Men or Fantastic Four toys, probably. There's like no... They've nixed that licensing.